From the banks of the Mississippi to the peaks of the Smokies, this is the home field of champions.
Andre Callaway to Stanley Morgan.
And so, pulls it down. Nobody can catch him. Reggie White penetrated.
Touchdown, Heath Dewar. James Stewart.
Manning on the neck and handoff.
Peerless Price. Travis Henry scores for Tennessee.
More than 75 years of broadcast excellence. We are the Vol Network. What happened this weekend? What lies ahead? Analysis and insight from the inside. This is Big Orange. Rewind.
Presented by Calhoun's, a taste of Tennessee. Calhoun's is the perfect place to rewind after every Tennessee game.
This is Big Orange Rewind. With the voice of the Vols, Mike Keith, and VolQuest.com's Brent Hubbs.
Good Sunday evening, everyone. Welcome into another installment of the Big Orange Rewind. I am Brent Hubbs. Glad to have you along with us on this Sunday night. Get those text questions lined up and bring them in. We'd love to get to those tonight. 865-657-1278. 865-657-1278. That's the number to reach us at on the text line tonight. If you're looking for the voice of the Vols, Mike Keith, he will join me momentarily. A big day for Mike and his family. Mike inducted into the Ring of Honor with the Tennessee Titans. He's been in Nashville today for those festivities and a little halftime speech on the field, and certainly a much-deserved recognition and honor for Mike to be named into the Titans Ring of Honor. I promise you he will not dive into that when he gets here, but we're going to dive into a lot of Tennessee football as the Volunteers winners over UAB yesterday, 56-24. Their next opponent, Mississippi State, the Bulldogs, 38-10 winners over Northern Illinois yesterday. So we'll dive into a lot about that matchup, and we'll certainly review Tennessee's 56-24 win over UAB yesterday. And as always, the Big Orange Rewind is presented by our good friends at Calhoun's. We certainly appreciate them and their sponsorship and their continued partnership with us here at the Vol Network and certainly here on the Big Orange Rewind. So Tennessee wins 56-24. And there's a lot of things to dive into this game yesterday. And a lot of people are going to say, well, they were supposed to win big. They did win big. It was kind of a boring type deal, or maybe it wasn't a whole lot in the second half. I think there's a lot to learn from this game yesterday. And I want to start with a couple of things. And one of those is on defense. And there's going to be a lot of talk about the number of yards that Tennessee gave up on defense yesterday and the number of points that were allowed and things like that. I think you have to be careful about getting too caught up in some of those things about this defense and what does it mean and where is this defense right now. And I think you got to do a bit of a deep dive into how Tim Banks played this game yesterday. And what I mean by that is Tennessee took early control of this football game up 28-0. And it was clear at that point when you look at the snap counts, the direction that Tim Banks and the defensive staff took that game yesterday. Look, they've got to have more players. They know they need more depth. They know they've got to have more bodies at all positions. Now, they're going to get some help back in the defensive interior. Jackson Moy, it looks like he's probably going to be able to go against Mississippi State. We'll see where Hobbs is, but David Hobbs is certainly getting closer to being back, whether it's Mississippi State or Arkansas. You're going to see him again. We don't know about Jermod McCoy or when he might be back and be a part of things. So we'll see what that looks like. Ricky Gibson, we know, is going to be out for an extended period of time if he's back at all this season. So here's Tim Banks in a game that Tennessee's not going to lose. They've got full control of this game. And are you worried about your stats, or are you worried about the big picture? And the big picture being the next 2 months for this football season. And what Tim Banks did and what his staff did is they clearly went big picture when you look at snap counts and how they went about business. Rightfully so, Bryson Eason, Dominic Bailey played about 20 snaps. They got Isaiah Campbell 29 snaps. Now, is Isaiah Campbell going to be a fixture in the rotation for Tennessee at the defensive tackle position? Maybe not this year, but you're certainly wanting to get him as much work as you can get him when you have the opportunity. And Tennessee tried to take full advantage of that yesterday. So you get guys like Isaiah Campbell, a longer run, more snaps, and then you look at where you are with Eason and Bailey and how many snaps they played the week before, 60 plus, and you're trying to get those guys' legs back. You want to make sure they're full tilt for you when you go to Starkville, Mississippi. So that one makes sense. I think where you really have to look at this is what they did in the back end, the back seven, really. They got Jaden Perlotti on the field to the point that he was wearing the helmet communications, calling signals. They did the same thing with Jaden Harmon yesterday, getting him on the field and being a part of that. And then I think you look in the back end where Tennessee made a real commitment with a guy like Sidney Walton. Sidney Walton, the safety, the freshman safety, he played 43 of the 71 snaps on defense yesterday. And I think, Mike Keith, as you join us, welcome.
Welcome.
As you join us here, I think one of the things that stands out is just the decision that this defensive staff made yesterday to say, you know what, if we give up some points, we give up points. They don't want to give them up, but we know we have to create depth. And the best way to create depth besides game planning on the practice field during the week is live play. And so they made a commitment yesterday to play Merritt, to play Walt.
They did.
To play all of those guys that I think if you're a fan out there, you initially look at this and say, golly, they threw for 300 yards. They gave up 24 points. There's so many issues on this thing. I think you have to look at it deeper than that and figure out and look at the direction that Tennessee went defensively yesterday and how much that could benefit them on down the road. And they said, hey, if we give up some yards, we don't want to, but if it happens, we're better served by playing these younger guys than pitching a shutout.
I don't think there's any question. I think they knew they had to do that. The goals were obviously win the game. Sure. That was goal number one. But goal number two was go out and take care of your business to where you're able to do this, to where you're able to play these guys. And that's exactly what they were able to do. And they did not wait until it was 56-10 to do it. They got them in there in the second quarter. They got the starters back in for a period of time, but then by the second series, offensively and defensively of the third quarter, it was backups. It was guys getting a chance to get in there and make some things happen. You talked about in the secondary, Tim Merritt, who they wanted to play at the corner spot, Sidney Walton, who they want to play at the safety spot, Christian Gass, Jalen Harmon, kind of on and on and on, these guys that they want to get in, Campbell and Utley more and more in the interior of the defensive line. They understood that the opportunity to get these guys in and to get them these live reps to where they can come back and look at a tape and go, oh, I did that well, I can do that, or oh, I messed that up, here's how I need to fix it, or everything in between. I mean, it was huge. Tennessee accomplished what Tennessee needed to accomplish in the 56-24 win over UAB.
Yeah, that's my takeaway from it too. I mean, was it the most beautiful thing all the time? Did they do everything that you wanted them to do? Was it perfect? I mean, no, Tim Banks has got a million things to clean up and look at, but he's got tape for these young guys that, quite frankly, they had tape in scrimmages. They had some tape in the ETSU game, and that's – the rest of it's practice tape, but there's nothing wrong with practice. That's important. But when you're game planning week to week, practice is different than it is in fall camp. So you need those reps for those young guys for them to understand where they're at and create that urgency you need for depth.
I'll just quote you and what you said through the course of the week, and that is they knew that they ran out of gas in the Georgia game. Defensively, they ran out of gas because all those guys on defense who were at those key positions, your corners, your interior defensive linemen, your linebackers, I mean, they were sucking air at the end of that ball game because they played so many snaps on a hot day. You have to make the decision that you're going to play these other people because you know you want your best guys ready to go in the fourth quarter. You want to gain the experience, and you want to be in a situation as you get into October and November, understanding you're going to have injuries, that some of these guys are going to have to play. So is the game against Alabama or Kentucky, those games at the end of October, is that going to be their first real play time? Or do you get this play time now to have this opportunity to move them forward and get them in there when they need to? Listen, it's probably going to be hot in Starkville at 4:15 Eastern time on Saturday. Starkville's hot.
Right.
I've been to Starkville very few times when it wasn't really, really hot.
There's a little humidity in play there.
There's a little of everything. I mean, even when we've gone to play baseball there in March, it somehow
which was good. You're like, hey, warm weather, first time the ball's ever jumped off a bat. Fine, whatever. This is different.
This is different, but I mean, it's always warm there, and so you're going to have to be ready for that. A lot of these guys are probably going to go in and have to take a series or two. They're going to have to play teams and more. And I think the other thing you're seeing too is this trend with where we're going in college football with the portal, and whether it's one portal or whatever, and we do think it's going to be one now in January, but you got to play your young guys. You can't – now, if somebody gets hurt, fine. If somebody's completely not ready, got it. You can redshirt. But otherwise, you got to play them.
Well, and eventually we're going to go to 5 years of eligibility, and red shirt's going to become a non-factor anyway. And that may happen sooner rather than later. But to your point, it's not just about red shirt. It's an engagement deal. Because
that's what I mean.
All these guys are hearing back home.
Right.
If you'd have gone somewhere else, you'd have been playing. Or all of those things creep into a guy's mind if he's not getting to play.
Or you're going to hear from other schools through your representatives when we get into these periods. You're going to hear –
or before.
Well, potentially. You're going to hear at some point, hey, they didn't even give you a chance. They didn't – what was their plan to develop you? If guys are involved, I think whatever the money is or the situations are, I think you look at it differently because if you're playing, you're part of a team. Mm-hmm. And you can accept, in most cases, I'm a freshman, and so I probably don't get to play all the time, but I'm playing. I'm involved. I'm part of the ball club. We won this game. I got to be part of it. These older guys helped me out. Now I'm going to move forward and start to be the older guy, and I'm going to get the opportunity. I think all those things factor into and the culture thing drives me nuts because you hear it from – I mean, where do you ever hear a coach walk in and go, we've practiced all spring and summer, and our culture's lousy.
It's like somebody saying they signed a bad recruiting class.
Bad recruiting class. Nobody ever says we signed a bad recruiting class. Nobody ever takes over as defensive coordinator and says we're going to run a very passive, non-aggressive defense. Nobody ever goes through an off-season training program and says, our guys got no bigger and stronger.
What if we just did a top 10 of things you're never going to hear?
Well,
you know what I mean?
That's all. But my point is, you really do build culture, and the programs that we look at around the country who've had success year in, year out, even when they've lost big groups of good players, it's because the culture has been in place where guys were like, my turn will come.
Right.
I mean, I hate to keep referring to the Vols of the 90s, but, I remember because it was before I left, the spring of 98, most people thought Tennessee was a 7-4 team at best because of what they lost.
Sure.
What we didn't know is this whole group of guys had bought into what's next. Now it's our turn. Now we take over the reins. And I think when you see the Harmon kid play at linebacker, and when you see Van Dorselaer at tight end, and you see the wide receivers getting chances to play, and the corners and all of those things, you say, that's how you're going to build. Will you keep everyone? Probably not. But you have a better chance of keeping them based on the fact that you got them opportunities and you showed them how they're going to develop.
Because, again, with the freedom to move the way they have, it's more important than it's ever been. Because in the 90s, there were some guys who wanted to leave, but they didn't want to sit for a year.
Sure.
Now you don't have to do that.
Well, it's funny because we did something with, back to the 80s, Joey Clinkscales. Mm-hmm. So Joey Clinkscales comes to Tennessee from Austin East. He's one of 8 quarterbacks in the 82 recruiting class. 8 quarterbacks were signed. And the majority of them ended up being defensive backs. He got moved to wide receiver. So he'd never played anything other than quarterback realistically. So Joey Clinkscales, after a year, goes to Coach Majors and he says, hey, this is really not working out for me. I'm going to transfer. Coach Majors' response to Joey Clinkscales, according to Joey, was no. hear me, Ball Nation. Just hear what I just said.
No.
Coach Major's response is no. You're going to keep. You're not leaving.
You're staying right here.
You're going to keep working at wide receiver, and you're going to get there. And he said, it was the greatest thing that ever happened to me, because Bob Harrison was his receivers coach, and then of course Kippy Brown was his receivers coach, and he went on and had a very nice career at Tennessee. Had some time in the NFL. Was in personnel in pro ball for a long time. I mean, football ended up being his life, but you want guys to see what's there as the second-year player and the third-year player and the fourth-year player and the fifth-year player, instead of saying, well, where can I jump next? Where can I make that move next? Because the money, in reality, what we're going to see is, in a very short period of time, the money's going to be about the same.
We think so, yeah.
Not right away. I think
right.
There's still things that have to happen. But that's why I was so thrilled about yesterday. And, we're on the Vol Network trying to tell as many of those guys' stories as possible. And not only where they were from and where they went to high school, but how they got to the point of being guys that the Tennessee coaches think can help. Because I think, as a fan, I'm interested to see where all the puzzle pieces fit together. And I think you see sort of that culture in this program, because this 3-1 Tennessee right now, in my opinion, is a better 3-1 than I thought it would be.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that, particularly the injuries that they battled through.
And the quarterback.
And obviously the play that they're getting at quarterback, the growth of the receiver. The two biggest questions that you had about this team going into the season was, what were you going to do at quarterback and what were you going to do at receiver? The strength of this football team through 4 games has been the play of the quarterback and the emergence of the wide receiver.
Sure.
And I think that's cool. I said on this show, or maybe it was on the Monday meeting, one of the fun things about this team was going to be to watch its development.
Mm-hmm.
And I think through 4 games we've seen development. I think the question is going to be, how much more development do we have? And that's why yesterday was important, because to continue the path of development, more players have to be involved. And the fact that they got those players on the field yesterday for a significant amount of snaps is really, really important to go with their development. And it's not just young. I think you got to throw Boo Carter into that as well. He doubled up his snap total for what he was averaging in games yesterday. Those are the guys that are going to have to help this team if they're going to get to where they want to be at. And it's going to be their development over the course of the next few weeks that's going to be vital. And what you hope is that you can show them tape tomorrow when you sit down with them and you look at them and say, hey, this is what we've been talking about. You got to be better here. Or, hey, this is why you're played, because you did this well. It's not all about everything you did wrong. There will be so many positive things to show out, because you want those guys to understand how close they are.
Right.
And you want them to understand where they've got to go to get closer.
Okay, so let me ask you this before we go to break. Just to wrap up the Rackley Roofing recap, a breakdown of Tennessee's game with UAB presented by Rackley Roofing, proud official roofer of the Tennessee Volunteers. Could the Syracuse game have gone any better for you in terms of how it played and how it laid out? Yes or no?
Aside from injuries?
I'm not talking about injuries.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
East Tennessee State.
Yes.
UAB.
Yes.
To a certain extent, Georgia, in that you had a chance to beat them.
You may have learned more about yourself in Georgia than you did any game you played.
Well, if before the season you tell me Tennessee and Georgia are going to overtime, you don't tell me what the result is. If you say to me, Mike Keith, Tennessee and Georgia are going to overtime, being what I know about Tennessee, the quarterback situation, the offensive line, the receivers, some of the questions, would I take that? Would I take my chances
Absolutely.
on how I do?
Absolutely. So anybody would have.
I guess what I'm saying is you take the first 4 games, and I think for Tennessee, they have done to the level or even better than what we thought might have happened. There hasn't really been a clunker in there. There hasn't been a big letdown. There hasn't been one horrendous stinker performance in the mix. Not to say that there won't be one at some point, but But for a team to develop, you want them to go out and do the job so they can keep building. Mm-hmm. That's what this team's done, which to me gives it the chance the rest of the way to be certainly significant in the whole mix.
Wow.
What is that? I mean, if you get to 10-2 and 6-2 in the conference, are you in the playoff?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're certainly in that conversation. It would be hard. It would be, I mean, who else is where? But yes, to answer your question, I think there's a great shot you're in.
Okay, if you're 6-2 in the conference, you might be in the championship game.
Yeah, because of the way this conference is going. You're 100% right. I mean, to be where they are a quarter of the way through the season is really, they have gotten better every week. They're a better football team yesterday than they were against Syracuse. Now, sometimes that's hard to see when you look at numbers.
Right.
But when you do a deep dive into it, better football team than they were week one.
Sure.
And that's what you expect, and that's what you want to have. They've got to be a better football team Saturday in Starkville than they were yesterday.
Oh, they're going to have to be.
That's football. You have to be that way.
I mean, State has a good club. We're going to talk about that a lot more coming back. We want to take your text questions at 865-657-1278. 865-657-1278. The Rackley Roofing Recap presented by Rackley Roofing, transforming the roofing industry with unmatched customer service, detailed documentation, and the highest safety standards. Rackley Roofing, the proud official roofer of the Tennessee Volunteers. That is the Rackley Roofing Recap.
Big Orange Rewind.
Sponsored by First Horizon. Big bank muscle, small bank hustle. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee. Complete coverage for every phase of life.
By the natural gas utilities and pipeline companies in Tennessee.
Natural gas.
Pilot, the official travel stop of the Vols. See you out here. RJV Kubota, with 2 convenient locations in Knoxville and Nashville. And by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer, proud sponsor of the Tennessee Volunteers.
When you travel across the great state of Tennessee, one thing you're sure to find is Big Orange passion. You see it throughout every inch of the Volunteer state, just like you see First Horizon, serving communities big and small, offering big bank products with small bank passion. What else do you need? Big bank muscle, small bank hustle. That's First Horizon, the official bank of the Vols, proudly serving Tennesseans for over 160 years.
Tennessee fans, your game day isn't complete without Calhoun's. Whether you're inside Neyland Stadium for the game or tailgating on campus or at home, Calhoun's has you covered with shareable small bites, family feed packs, and party platters. Imagine your tailgate piled high with hickory smoked ribs, tender pulled pork, and that famous barbecue chicken. The best of Tennessee on one plate. Call ahead or order online and make your game day legendary. Calhoun's, a taste of Tennessee.
When getting the job done right is job one, you need construction equipment that's built right. From compact track loaders to the world's #1 selling compact excavator, the Kubota construction lineup features durable Kubota engines, more comfort, and the versatility to do it all and do it right. Visit your local Kubota dealer today. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Visit RJV Kubota locally in Knoxville or Nashville. RJV Kubota, a proud supporter of the Vols. It's football time in Tennessee, and Alumni Hall is the place to gear up for your Tennessee Vols. Shop the largest and newest selection of top brands like Nike, Columbia, Peter Millar, New Era, Yeti, and more. Mix and match champion tees, 2 for $38, and spend $150 to earn $10 Hall cash for your next visit. Shop AlumniHall.com. Visit Alumni Hall in Knoxville, Murfreesboro, Bristol, or Johnson City, or download their app. Alumni Hall, the ultimate volunteer shopping destination.
Mike, Brent, and you. Big Orange Rewind, presented by Calhoun's.
Welcome you back. Glad to have you with us. Glad to have your text questions at 865-657-1278. To the text line, Justin in Georgia. One quarter of the way through the season, actually 1/3 of the way through the season now. What has surprised you about this Tennessee team and the SEC in general?
Let's start with this Tennessee team. I mean, it's Joey Aguilar, and it's what they have become offensively. And there's going to be a ton of talk about, and rightfully so, about where this team is with the explosive plays and all that they've done that way. But this team's, I guess they're now 21 of 22 in the red zone, I think, maybe, if I got my numbers right from yesterday. They were 17 of 18 going into the game.
Well, and remember, they ended the game.
That doesn't count. I take that one out. I know statistically it counts, but that one doesn't count.
Yeah.
Because they just took a knee there.
They took a knee at the end of the game in the red zone.
And so I think one of the stories about this team and this offense, for all of the talk from the fans about, hey, you got to be more explosive, you got to be, where are the big splash plays, all that. They had to be better in the red zone. Mm-hmm. They just were not good enough in terms of scoring touchdowns in the red zone. What they have done thus far in the red zone, I think, is really good. And I think that their efficiency in there, led by Joey Aguilar, has been really good. He's 11 of 18 for 94 yards and 5 touchdowns inside the opponent's 20. He's 4 for his last 4 for 65 yards and 3 touchdowns. Quarterback play in the red zone is a must. Mm-hmm. I mean, you got to make quick decisions. You got to take care of the ball. You got to read defenses quickly. There's a lot of things going on there. I think when you look at Tennessee, it's the Joey Aguilar experience overall. But man, don't get lost in the fact of how good he's been in the red zone. He also has a rushing touchdown as well. He's been really effective and really good in the red zone. That's been key for this offense.
Not taking sacks in the red zone.
Everything. I mean, just the efficiency that you play with in those tight spaces is really – I mean, because you know what – I mean, it doesn't matter what league you're playing in. There'll be defensive coordinators let you drive it to a certain point on the field, and then all of a sudden you get zero blitzes, and you get all the disguised looks, and you get all the other things because they're no longer in two safety high preventing a big play.
Right.
They're coming in a bunch of different ways. His management of the game as the ball's gotten closer to the end zone has been really good, and I think that that's been very important for this offense's production throughout the season, beyond just the explosive big plays that he's thrown down the field.
Your SEC surprise to this
point? Well,
it's
got to be Vanderbilt. I mean, I think we knew Vanderbilt had a chance to be pretty good, but I mean, they've gone out and played. It's not just that they're winning, it's how they're winning. They're playing really good football right now. So on a plus side, I think it's Vanderbilt for me. I think on the other side of it, I don't think anybody saw Florida or South Carolina being where they are right now. The other surprise to me is Missouri. Missouri's pretty good. They're pretty physical. They got a running game. Quarterback transfer has been pretty good. Texas has not been that dynamic team you thought that they would be. They lost to Ohio State. It's okay, right? But even since then, they're not exactly lighting the world on fire. So I think it's been more that we get ready to head into October with some more unknowns in the SEC, because I don't think it's really cleared itself up through the month of September to this point. There's more like, are they what we thought they were going to be? And then there is, man, wow, they're really good.
See, State's the one to me.
Okay.
State being 4-0 after.
They had one game. They had one game that you were worried about.
No, I was worried about Southern Miss to open in Hattiesburg because, I mean, what did they go last year, 4-8?
No, probably. Yeah,
I mean, they did not have a winning record.
No, they did not. They were not very good in
so
conference
the point
play
is, if you're talking about a team that didn't have a winning record last year,
mm-hmm.
and they're going on the road to play a game right off the bat, then do I expect them to win that game? Not necessarily. Now, I know Southern Miss is not, setting the world on fire either, but still. And so then you have the Arizona State game that they play a really good game and hold on. And now they've beaten Alcorn, and the win over Northern Illinois, they lead 14-10 at the half, blow them out in the second half to win 38-10. Listen, Northern Illinois has been a tough out for a lot of people over the years. Ask Alabama, ask Notre Dame. I mean, they've got some quality wins, and so you're not just going to roll it out there and beat the Huskies. And so that's a solid win.
Yeah, to your point, State went 2-10 last year, and they were winless in conference play. So that magnifies your point.
That's my point about.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I don't think the win over Southern Miss is necessarily a program changer. But if you start 0-1 and lose that game, do you really think you're beating Arizona State?
Sure. Probably
I
not.
don't.
Right. I agree.
And then you're 2-2 coming into this game. Instead, you're 4-0 with belief.
Yes, and growing belief. I'm a little surprised they're not ranked this week. I thought they might sneak in the back part of the top 25.
Well, but there just wasn't. I mean, like Tennessee staying 15th, it's kind of due to the fact that I just don't think there was that much movement on the back end.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing that State's done. State's taking care of the football. Their quarterback play's been efficient, and they're running the heck out of it. I mean, they're running the heck out of it. They've got 826 yards rushing. Tennessee's got 865. They're being very effective in the run game. They're averaging about 5 yards a carry. They've gotten out of the gates pretty good. I think they've outscored their opponents 55-6 in the first quarter. So the start of this game Saturday is going to be a pretty fast thing to watch too, and go, because Tennessee's been so good to start games. State's been good to start games. Who gets the early upper hand to kind of get you going? Now, I mean, when Arizona State walked in there, they walked into a hornet's nest. They were down 17-0.
Sure.
Tennessee can't allow that to happen. They've got to be what they've been. Maybe you don't score, 3 touchdowns and 3 drives in the first quarter, but you can't get whitewashed like that to start the game the way Arizona State did.
The Big Orange converted on a 4th down yesterday versus UAB. That means it's 4th down for Firehouse Subs. Have you heard about this, Hubbard?
I heard Ramon Foster begging for food yesterday.
Yes.
So
4th down for Firehouse Subs. Vol fans, you can purchase a free medium Firehouse Sub with the purchase of any medium Firehouse Sub. So if you like one, order one, and you get a second one. You could have 2 of the same kind, or you can mix it up however you want to do it.
Let's go with the hook and ladder. I'm a hook and ladder guy at Firehouse Subs.
Fantastic.
It is.
The deal is live starting tomorrow, which is Monday, through Wednesday of this week. Now, you can use the Firehouse Subs app or go online to redeem. Treat yourself to the hottest subs in Big Orange Country at participating Tennessee Firehouse Subs restaurants. See offer details in the app. That's a good app to have to order you a Firehouse Sub.
Absolutely.
And
Great
to get a free medium when you order one medium.
So we need Josh Heupel to go for it on 4th down more.
A lot.
Yeah. Okay.
Ramon was begging for it in the first quarter against Syracuse because he knew about that.
Rightfully so.
Absolutely. Okay, Kevin in Columbia back this week. Thanks, Kevin. What has been Chris Brazel's reasons for the huge turnaround this year? Is it confidence, work ethic, learning the system, or all of the above?
I think it's all of the above, but I think confidence is where it starts with Chris. I think he's a guy that it did not go very well last year. For whatever reasons, the adjustment into the offense wasn't good. He didn't have great chemistry, it seemed like, with the quarterback. He did not have great belief in himself. And to his own admission, a negative play became multiple negative plays. He did not handle himself particularly well, sort of playing the next play, having that mentality. And he's gotten off to a great start, and you can just see his confidence building and building and building. And that first touchdown play, man, you could see that one coming a mile away. It's like, okay, they got them set up right here. They ran that double stack and run the little hit the little draw or hit the run play out of it with a pulling guard or pulling offensive lineman, and you saw him kind of fake, run the receiver screen. It's like, uh-oh, this one's coming. And it's just like a slip screen in basketball. He sold it perfectly, and Joey delivered it there, and it was like, yeah, this is not a hard play. And I think for Chris, plays don't feel hard right now. Last year, it felt like he was fighting the ball a little bit because of his confidence. It doesn't feel that way at all right now. Fun to watch. This is the Chris Brazel you thought you were getting out of Tulane, because he was a big play guy at Tulane, and he is turning. And when I say big play, I mean a guy who, 15, 20-yard catches. He's getting back to that because he's playing really well right now.
Big Orange Rewind presented by Calhoun's. Look for Calhoun's inside Neyland Stadium. More of your text questions coming up for Brent Hubbs at 865-657-1278.
UT fans know it takes teamwork to win. And when you choose Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee, you get a team who served Tennesseans for 80 years. From babies to seniors, big needs to small, we offer health coverage that fits your life and your budget. All from a company right here in your community. Now that's what we call a big win. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee.
This is Mike Keith, and you're listening to the Ford F-150 Truck Highlight Show. Go Vols! The smart, powerful Ford F-150 turned in another championship-caliber performance. Thanks to available Pro Power onboard and outstanding payload numbers, fans will be talking about this tailgate for years to come. For great offers on a new Ford F-150, see your local Ford dealer. Proud sponsor of Tennessee Athletics.
See Owner's Manual for important operating instructions.
Vol Nation, if you're looking for quality performance apparel, look no further than Turtleson. Founded by UT alumni out of Bristol, Tennessee, Turtleson designs clothes and accessories that fit your lifestyle. From the office to the country club or the Tennessee Volunteers tailgate, Turtleson has the apparel that looks as good as it feels. Ask for Turtleson wherever you buy your volunteer gear or visit turtleson.com to learn more. Turtleson is a proud sponsor of the Vol Network. Go Vols!
Rackley Roofing is now the official roofer of the Vols, and Rackley is more than a roofing company. They're part of the communities where they work and live, investing in neighborhoods and opening doors to a career in an industry that's growing year after year. Rackley Roofing's mission is clear: transform the roofing industry with unmatched customer service, detailed documentation, and the highest safety standards. Because Rackley believes the ladder to a great roof is only as good as the people who climb it. Rackley Roofing. Building roofs, building futures.
Big Orange Rewind, presented by Calhoun's, continues.
Glad to have your text questions on the program at 865-657-1278. We'll take as many of them as we can during the course of this program. Back to the text line right away. This one, I guess, addressed to me. You asked Coach Heupel about Christian Gass on the Mike Keith Show this past week. How did Christian Gass do against UAB? Brent, you were down there. I'll let you answer.
I like his athletic ability. I like his size. I think he ran to the ball well. I think he played 12 snaps and had 3 tackles. It's pretty good production. I think he did the little things that you're looking for. Now, he's got a long ways to go to learn how to use his hands and everything at this level. But in terms of being able to run to the ball, in terms of athletic ability, I mean, he stood out. I thought he and Okoye both, just from an athletic standpoint, you're like, those guys can run. Mm-hmm. Like, they really can move. So there's a lot that you like there. I don't know about immediate help, but I think when you look at those two, and then you look at Campbell, and you look at Marion Dye, and you look at Ethan Utley, and you go, hey, there's, with the other parts that you have, when you start thinking longer term down the future, there's a lot of things to like about that defensive front. I mean, I think Christian's going to be a perfect fit as a Leo edge rusher in this defense. I think that's why Tennessee coveted him as much as they did in the recruiting process.
Well, they're pretty good at Leo right now. I don't know who you would take reps away from right now for what they're doing for a young man. So at this moment in time, if he gets healthy and continues to be a productive practice player like the coaches want, he's a help on special teams. And could he knock somebody loose of the ball on a kick return? Can he block a punt? Can he make a block somewhere because he's just an unusual athlete? I think you've seen so many freshmen on the kick teams from the start.
Right.
They've put them out there. And I think that's because they're trying to utilize the athleticism that they already have, even if maybe they don't have the skill set to play receiver or defensive back or rush the passer. They're not there yet. Mm-hmm. They still have attributes that you can use now that can be a difference-making play. And maybe Gass is that guy on teams. Maybe Harmon is that guy on teams. Maybe Perlotti is a guy like that on teams. I mean, you can certainly see it.
Yeah, and I think, what I wonder about a guy like Christian Gass, I think Harmon's going to get a chance to be more in the rotation. Based on William Inge's comments last week, I should have played him in the Georgia game. I should have got him some snaps. So I think he may be closer. Perlotti missed some time in fall camp, so that set him back a bit. So to your point with him, I think teams makes a lot of sense to build out of that. I wonder with a guy like Christian Gass, could he ultimately play himself into a guy who's a part of the Rabbits package when they got 2 Leos on the field at the same time? A little bit like Joshua Josephs did as a freshman when he had a couple of sacks. And then from a special team standpoint, that's where James Pierce found his footing as a freshman. Now, he ended up, I think, with 3 sacks and some mop-up duty stuff. But he was a fixture on special teams as a freshman. And then we saw the big jump that he made as a sophomore when he kind of put it all together. So to your point, man, there's so much learning ground to be had in the special teams game. I think you're going to see more of Christian Gass. Now, maybe it's not in the rotation on defense, but to your point, I think he can certainly be a factor on special teams.
Another question from the text line at 865-657-1278. Do Boo Carter's positives on Saturday outweigh the negatives? I mean, I think the one negative is just the fumble on the punt, right?
Yeah, I think he had a couple of things. Based on Willie Martinez's reaction to him on that drive in the second quarter, which was a touchdown, there was a mistake or two in there. I don't think it was just Boo. I think they had some communication issues kind of across the board back there. To answer his questions, yes, and here's why I say that. I think Boo Carter got better as the game went on, and I think he became more productive. He's got to communicate better. He's got to clean up some missed assignments and mistakes, particularly in zone coverage. But Boo Carter's got to help this football team and is going to help this football team. So does he come back and play 40 snaps this week against Mississippi State? I don't know. But I do think you feel like he is getting back to being who he's supposed to be. And I think the second half was important. I think it was important just to kind of let him play yesterday. Just let him go and get him a bunch of snaps. So I think it was a good day for Boo Carter overall. Some stuff to clean up, but I think it was a good day.
It's time for an in-depth look at the Vols' next opponent, the Mississippi State Bulldogs, with the Built Ford Tough Report, brought to you by your local Ford dealer. Tennessee football and the Ford F-150. Tough runs through our family. The Bulldogs are undefeated at 4-0 on the season. Graduate quarterback Blake Shapen is completing 67% of his passes, averaging 222 yards passing per game, 7 touchdown passes, 2 interceptions. 230-pound running back Fluff Bothwell averages 5.8 yards per carry and 4 touchdowns. Wide receivers Anthony Evans and Brennan Thompson are both averaging over 72 yards per game receiving. Defensive lineman Will Whitson has 4.5 tackles for loss and 2 sacks on the season. Safety Isaac Smith, who garnered some preseason All-SEC attention, is the Bulldogs' leading tackler. This Built Ford Tough Report was brought to you by your local Ford dealer, proud sponsor of the Tennessee Volunteers.
I'm going to tell you, Isaac Smith's a good football player. He is a good football player. Tennessee saw him last year active at the line of scrimmage, really downhill safety.
Didn't Tennessee have a hard time running the ball against them?
They did for a bit, and he's a part of the reason why. He kind of that overhang safety a little bit, kind of get him down in the box. I like his game a lot. Fluff, I just wanted to say the name Fluff. Fluff is from South Alabama, transfer. Felt like he was under-recruited coming out of high school. Had offers from Austin Peay, Army, Navy, and ended up going to South Alabama and then transferring to Mississippi State. And it's been a nice fit for him there. His size has worked for him. They've been pretty physical in the run game. As I mentioned earlier, they've rushed for 826 yards in 4 games. They've been good running the football. They're going to play with a level of physicality. They do not like the notion, much the same way Josh Heupel doesn't like the notion that it's this video game, spread it out, we're not going to be physical deal.
Talking about softy ball?
Yeah, they're going to be physical. They're going to try to be physical on both sides. And again, this Isaac Smith player is a good player. I remember him from a year ago. Really good player.
Well, I mean, the Vols have had some issues this year with some big backs too. Mm-hmm. You know, going back to even the Syracuse game.
That guy's a good player,
Willis.
by the way. He's a good player.
Yasin Willis?
Yeah, he's a good football player.
Yeah.
He had a good day yesterday. He's a good football player.
Well, and, you know, a couple of the Georgia backs who were larger gave them some issues. So, and I don't think it's just Tennessee. I just don't think many kids today, the young people, I don't think they see big backs. No. They're not used to tackling the 230, 235-pound back because most of the guys are, you know, 210. They're listed at 210, but there are a lot of 200-pound backs running around.
Well, and some of those guys, those bigger backs, are just straight downhill guys. Mm-hmm. So it's not a jump cut, you know. It's like, hey, the hole's supposed to be here. I'm going, you know, and we're going to finish with some. I mean, I think Deshaun Bishop falls into that. He's not as big of a back, but he plays with that kind of physicality and wants to play that way. But you're right. You don't see a bunch of those guys because you see more of the scat back guys that everybody's trying to get in space. And this is a guy who'll get downhill on you in a hurry. So Tennessee's going to have to be good and on the defensive line. Linebackers are going to have to going to have to finish.
Need to get more of your text questions in. We'd love to hear from you on the program. It is 865-657-1278. It's just as simple as you text us the question to that number, and then magically it appears, and we pop it on the air and try to answer it, discussing whatever you want about University of Tennessee athletics. Again, 865-657-1278. You're listening to Big Orange Rewind, presented by Calhoun's, a taste of Tennessee.
A farm, a family, and a tradition of premium fresh sausage that's lasted almost a century. Using only the freshest ingredients and finest cuts of meat for flavor that is locked in instantly. Each bite of Swaggerty's Farm sausage transports you back to a warm, cozy southern kitchen, leaving you satisfied and ready to take on the day. Swaggerty's Farm, quite possibly the best tasting sausage in America. Now available at your local retailers.
The Vol Walk is a legendary journey from Circle Park to Gate 21 at Neyland Stadium. This is Coach Josh Heupel. Speaking of legendary journeys, Pilot's been out here fueling game day road trips and tailgates for over 60 years. That's why they've partnered with the Vols to preserve Neyland Stadium, ensuring that traditions like the Vol Walk endure for generations to come. Next time you head out to cheer on the Vols, make your game day journey legendary with a stop at Pilot. See you out here.
Vol fans, ready to score big on your next home? Clayton Homes, Oakwood Homes, and Love Homes are proud sponsors of Tennessee Athletics and proud to help you find your dream home. Whether you're a first-time buyer or looking for your forever home, their teams across Tennessee have your back. With 29 locations statewide and Energy Smart Homes designed for year-round savings and a lifetime of comfort, it's never been easier to make the move. Stop by today and see why so many families and Vol fans trust Clayton, Oakwood, and Love Homes to turn home ownership into a win.
It's football time in Tennessee, and that means it's time for Calhoun's. Whether you're headed to the game or watching from home, make Calhoun's your pregame, postgame, and every game headquarters. From hickory smoked pulled pork to the legendary ribs, juicy burgers, and mouth-watering brisket, Calhoun's delivers the flavor that fuels Big Orange fans. With 9 convenient East Tennessee locations, there's a Calhoun's near you. So gather your friends, wear your orange, and experience why they're the taste of Tennessee. Calhoun's, proud to serve ball fans since 1983.
Presented by Calhoun's. This is Big Orange Rewind.
SEC football schedule this weekend, I would say fabulous. Could I go with fabulous?
It just means more. Welcome
Wow.
to the league. Welcome to the league,
Wow.
baby.
You just love to say that, don't you?
I'm just telling you, it does this weekend. It is a show this weekend now. It is. A bunch of good
just
football
means
games.
more.
That's
Do
what
they pay
say.
you to
No,
say that?
I'll-
That's so nice.
Well, I'll always take some money if somebody wants to pay.
I understand. I totally get. Alabama at Georgia.
Okay, that's a good one.
Notre Dame at Arkansas.
Man, that's a heartbreaker for Arkansas yesterday. Woo, that's a tough one. That is a really
They
tough
were in
game.
control of that game.
They were.
They lost control of that game. Then they're driving again inside the 10, and they lose a fumble, have a chance to get the ball back. Memphis makes a first down.
Yeah, I think the question is just where are they mentally after a game like that? Just do you bounce back? You know, because it's not like you had a chance to win it multiple times. I mean, you were in complete control, and then that happened to you, and then you were going to survive it, and you don't survive. That's a hard one to come back
Sure.
from. Really hard.
Auburn at Texas A&M.
Yeah, I think this Texas A&M team's pretty good.
Auburn looking to figure out pass protection.
Well, and the league coming out saying we made a mistake on that deal that gave Oklahoma a point.
Yeah, but that doesn't change their pass protection.
No, not at all. Not at all. And, I mean, I'm telling you, A&M's Mike Elko and that group, they're going to pin their ears back, and they're coming. They're coming a lot.
Kentucky at South Carolina. Boy, South Carolina needs that one badly.
Yeah, all the pressure's on South Carolina there. They're having protection issues as well. I mean, they're having a hard time up front.
LSU at Ole Miss.
That's a good. I think that could be.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing at Ole Miss. Where is Lane Kiffin with his quarterback deal right now? Because the Chambliss kid, the transfer in, has been really good in 2 games. I mean, he had 300 yards passing and 100 yards rushing yesterday. I know it's Tulane, but still, he's been really effective in 2 starts. Where do they go quarterback-wise? Does he become a 2-quarterback deal? I mean, do you think Chambliss can do some things when you get your starter back? Oh, exactly what do you do there? And, hey, LSU's been – I mean, they're unbeaten, but, I mean, the Clemson win doesn't look as powerful as it once did, and Florida's got its struggles. That one's a great – there's a lot of unknown in that one. That's a fun matchup.
Here's one that's not. UMass at Missouri.
No.
Utah State at Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I mean, I think Vanderbilt's going to be unbeaten going to Alabama.
Oh, yeah. But the problem that they have are then the next 5 games.
Yeah, that Alabama game for them sets up pretty decent for that trip.
Well, if they hadn't won last year.
Right, if they hadn't won. But you're still coming off of a physical game against Georgia if you're Alabama.
Yeah, that's right.
But you're right. I mean, they have Alabama's attention because of what happened to them last year.
Yeah, it's
no doubt.
They're not going to walk in there and surprise them.
They're not.
And, of course, Tennessee at Mississippi State, 4:15 Eastern Time kickoff. We're on the air at 1:30 Eastern Time, 12:30 Central Time with Brent Hubbs, Ramon Foster, Jason Swain, and Larry Stone, and Big Orange Countdown. Text us at 865-657-1278.
Miss any of today's Rewind? Catch the full podcast with Mike Keith and Brent Hubbs. UTSports.com. We are the Vol Network. Exclusive guest, insider analysis. You know what happened, find out why and how, and what happens next. This is Big Orange Rewind.
Presented by Calhoun's, a taste of Tennessee. Grab a taste after the next Tennessee game. Calhoun's.
Mike Keith alongside Brent Hubbs. Glad to have you with us for Big Orange Rewind, presented by Calhoun's. Your text questions at 865-657-1278. Here's one. As a Tennessee fan, does it matter who wins in the Georgia-Alabama game? They play this Saturday, by the way.
I'm trying to think. Who's got the – who do you think – I don't think it matters. I mean, I'd have to look at – I mean, everybody's path down the stretch is going to be pretty challenging.
Well, I guess the question that some might have – I mean, let's look at it both ways. So you'd like to be in a position where you stay even with Georgia, and maybe if Alabama beats them, you have a chance to be even with them the rest of the way and theoretically could play in the SEC championship game. Or the other one that I would guess more Vol fans subscribe to, and it's dangerous, I shouldn't do that, but is, do you want Alabama weakened as much as possible before the Vols see them on October 18th? Because here's what I have in front of me. Okay, so they're going to play Vanderbilt on October 4th. Alabama plays Georgia this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
They play Vanderbilt on October 4th. They go to Missouri on October the 11th. And then they play Tennessee in Tuscaloosa on October 18th. So you think, oh, maybe if Georgia beats them, maybe Vanderbilt gives them a hassle at the very least. Maybe Vanderbilt beats them again. Then they go to Missouri. You said earlier you made clear you think Missouri's pretty good.
Based on what I've seen so far.
So maybe some of the starch is out of Alabama by October 18th if they lose this weekend?
Yeah.
If they win this weekend, do they sort of regain their swagger a little bit? And not that they haven't played better since losing, but who have they really beaten to this point?
So you tell me both of them can't lose, right?
No.
That's what most Tennessee fans are going. Is there a way both?
So I do this crazy thing. I have a graph where I look at Tennessee opponents and who they played 2 weeks before Tennessee. So obviously Mississippi State beat Alcorn State 63-0 and beat Northern Illinois 38-10. So those were their two opponents before playing Tennessee. The 2 weeks before Arkansas plays Tennessee, they have Notre Dame and they have bye. So they will have a bye before they come in here on October the 11th. 2 weeks before Alabama plays Tennessee, Vanderbilt at Missouri. 2 weeks before Kentucky plays Tennessee, bye on October the 11th, Texas on October the 18th, and Tennessee on October 25th. Sometimes I go a little further.
All right. Are we going further?
We're going further with Oklahoma.
Okay.
Because October the 11th, Oklahoma plays Texas. October 18th, Oklahoma is at South Carolina. October 25th, Oklahoma hosts Ole Miss before coming to Knoxville on November 1st. 3 pretty tough games there. The toughest sequence that anybody has, in my opinion, is Florida. That's another 3-game sequence. November 1, Georgia. November 8 at Kentucky. November 15 at Ole Miss. And then Tennessee at home on November 22nd.
Yeah, and who knows where Florida's going to be at that point in time with everything.
That's it.
You know, when you look at what they have, even before those 3 games, the road, they got Texas coming in. They got a lot in front of them.
But if you're Tennessee, I think you like Georgia, followed by back-to-back road games, with the second of the road games being Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Then Vanderbilt, bye on November 15th, Kentucky November 22nd, at Tennessee on November 29th. So favorable towards Vanderbilt coming into Tennessee. Like I said, I need a hobby. I fully admit this. There's no denial. But I like to look at things like that.
Well, I
think things add up.
Yeah, well, I think things add up. And I think back to the text question that we had. I think –
what was that?
It was about who you.
I'm sorry.
Who should win?
As a Tennessee fan, does it matter who wins the Georgia-Alabama game?
I think you want the team. I think you want teams to have as many losses as you can, because at the end of the day, you're trying to. What's the best path
when you play them, or overall?
Just overall.
Okay.
But the best path to try to get to postseason. So if Alabama gets a second loss, what does that mean for their hopes when you look at what's remaining on the schedule? Where are they? If Georgia runs, then and you run, then you play them again in the championship game. So I'm probably saying, as a Tennessee fan, take a Georgia win this week.
All right, another text question.
I don't know if that makes any sense
None
at all.
whatsoever.
Thanks. I didn't think it did.
It didn't make any sense.
I didn't think
even with my little chart there, it didn't make any sense. Who would you rate as the top 5 teams in the SEC today?
Georgia.
Yes.
LSU.
Okay.
Tennessee's in the conversation in your top 5. Ole Miss.
Okay.
Who am I missing here? Do I like Texas?
Do you like A&M?
I like A&M probably a little better. I probably like A&M's in there. Yeah. Maybe A&M ahead of Tennessee. They've got a road win at Notre Dame.
What about Oklahoma?
Oh, Oklahoma's got to be in the conversation too.
The tiers made a difference in them.
Well, it has. They've got an offensive identity in what they're trying to do, and defensively, they've got some confidence because they're not living on the field the entire time. So Georgia, Oklahoma, LSU, A&M, Tennessee.
I think Tennessee's in there.
I
know we're doing a Tennessee show here, so I get it. But I think you can. I think they can go in there right now. I think they have played well enough that they have the ability to do that.
Well, here's the thing. That I think Tennessee's got questions, and obviously they're going to face face some tough challenges. But here's what I see about Tennessee. I think the Syracuse win's not a bad win. Okay, I don't think Syracuse is a bad team. That's tough on their quarterback. They've lost their quarterback for the year, which is just. I like that kid. I think he's a pretty good player.
Angelic?
Yeah.
Nice player.
I hate that they've lost him for the year. That'll change.
But, they do have a pretty quality. The kid who was Colbert, who was going to be their starter before they got Angelic.
The kid that transferred in from LSU.
LSU, yeah.
So, but I think that win looks pretty good. I think Tennessee has done exactly what you want to do when you play a team that's inferior to you.
Mm-hmm.
You've dominated them out of the gate. And then I think you showed that physically you can play with anybody when you play with the physical nature that Georgia has. So
now you've got to go beat an SEC
you do,
team.
And you got to go win on the road.
Yes.
Okay, you got to go do that, and that's not been Tennessee's greatest trend. I mean, Josh Heupel's done great things. He's lost 2 games, I think, in Neyland Stadium. 3 games, 2
Both
conference
to Georgia.
games. Yeah, I mean, he's lost to Georgia twice. He's lost to Ole Miss in his first year. They lost to Pitt. But they've been good at home. They got to be better on the road. They got to go finish some teams on the road. And this one on Saturday, you got to go finish.
Well, and realistically, they haven't been on the road yet.
No.
Atlanta was not Knoxville, but it was a home crowd.
It wasn't a road crowd. It was home.
Sure.
Home for Tennessee or neutral. But I mean, it did not have. You didn't know there were a bunch of Syracuse fans in the stands. That's for sure.
All 12 of them were pretty loud. I mean, there weren't a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Fans, the beef sweepstakes are back. Food City and your local cattle farmers are ready to fire up the perfect combination, beef and football. Every time you purchase a fresh beef product using your Food City value card, you'll automatically be registered to win a pair of tickets to see the Vols take on John Mateer in Oklahoma November 1st. You bring the appetite, we'll serve up the game. Only from Food City and your local cattle farmers. Contest ends October the 19th. And Brent, no, you cannot win.
I can't win that one?
You can't win that one. That is not allowed.
Do I get anything?
Nothing. You get to go to the game.
Okay. I have a text question for you.
You have a text question.
Can I ask you a text question?
Did somebody text? Wait.
Somebody has texted. A friend has texted me. It's.
You have friends?
Very, very few, but someone has asked me this question.
Sure.
Through the first month of the season.
Yes.
Is the SEC what we've seen, is it a good conference, a really good conference, or is it just some teams that are good teams that are just kind of beaten up? What do we think the SEC is compared to everybody else around the country?
I think it's fantastic.
Okay.
I think it's utterly fantastic. I think you look at the depth of talent. And I mean, you start this way. How do we cut down the middle and take the top 8? Like, we just took the top 5. We didn't mention Vanderbilt. They're 4-0. We didn't mention Mississippi State. They're 4-0. They both have some impressive wins. I mean, Vanderbilt has a conference win. So a big conference win on the road. They also have a road win at Virginia Tech. I know Virginia Tech fired their coach, but it's still a road win. So I think you take Missouri, you take Oklahoma, you take the 2 teams from Texas. LSU has been impressive overall. Florida's 1-3, but it's really hard to say they're a bad team. Yeah. I mean, you'd be hard pressed to say they're a bad team.
Yeah, I mean they're just struggling offensively bad, but they're not a team that lacks talent or lacks ability.
No, I mean the 2 Alabama teams are quality. We don't know much about Kentucky yet. I think we're going to start to learn more about Kentucky. Their games with South Carolina are often interesting.
Oh, yeah.
What you think?
They got some quirkiness to them.
See, I think that's going to be one of the 3 regular opponents for both. I think Kentucky's going to get South Carolina, and South Carolina's going to get Kentucky as a regular opponent, because that has ended up being a really nice, strange, satisfying rivalry in terms of you get those games, you're like, what just happened? What? I mean, they're good college football games.
They are, and they have some quirk to them. I mean, they have some unusual things to them as well. So, for me, my takeaway from the SEC at this point is the depth, which is what you're saying. The depth of it. Is there an elite team? I don't know that there's an elite. I think what we're seeing.
But who's the elite team in college football?
I don't know that there is, which is, again, I think transfer portal, NIL is creating not the NFL level parity, but it's creating some real parity in the game that we have never seen before.
I think you can say something about that towards the NFL level because of how the talent is being divvied up in different ways. Because if you're player X and you have a chance to go make $1 million somewhere, or you can go to a traditional power and make $500,000, well, guess what? You're going to go take the $1 million. Even from the lesser program, you're going to do that in most cases. And so
particularly for a one-off.
Oh, sure.
12 months, I can go somewhere else the next year if I want to.
Absolutely. Yeah. Or if I'm going to be a third-year player and I'm thinking about going pro, in many cases, listen, I believe this, and I believe it even in college athletics, money's undefeated. And that's going to be something, a lot of times you can say, well, there's a pull towards Johnny to come here to school because it was grandmama's favorite color and she loved the coach when he came on the visit. It's like, oh, you're offering $500,000 more? Well, we'll get over it.
Yeah. But which goes back to the point you were making in the first hour of the show. If the money gets even, which that's the hope. We'll see if it ever gets there. Is it the hope? Well, yeah. I
think it's the hope of most people, but is it the hope of the people involved?
Well, who's in charge? I think it's the hope of the ADs. I think it's the hope of a lot of people that you just can't have this great margin like this. This team's got a $30 million budget. This team's got a $8 million budget. And they're supposed to be competing against each other. Which, we're seeing that every week when Oregon lines up to play somebody, right? Well, everybody's dropping the...
You're seeing it in a conference like the American, where the difference in athletic budgets between schools, now they're not a P4, but you talk about the difference even in the American's been a really good conference. Memphis has certainly done a good job. South Florida. South Florida has a massive athletic budget compared to some of the teams that they play against. Vastly different.
So you're saying, does anybody really want it to be even?
I'm saying everybody says they do, but if it's going well for you, do you want it to be even?
Well, I think what's interesting, and this is where administrators struggle a little bit, is they want their budget to be bigger than everybody else's budget.
Right.
But then they want the player personnel budget to be, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, we'll go build the $100 million facility, or we'll go do this, and we've got more. We're a have and not a have-not, but we don't want salaries for players to continue to escalate.
Well, that, and they also don't want to pick up a newspaper and read that a team in their conference has a $3 million a year bigger recruiting budget than they have. Because they've been spending money on their new basketball arena or whatever they've been spending money on. Their overall budget is bigger, but somebody's spending more money on their recruiting office.
Right.
So I think everybody always wants to – if it's you want to have the biggest budget and you want it all to be – not you personally, but if it's your team, you want to have the most and the best, and as long as it works for you, you really don't care about everybody else. But then if you're behind in something – you're looking for that vantage point.
Which is why I appreciate the honesty of Danny White when he says, depends on which hat I got on. If I'm wearing the league NCAA hat, then we need to get some things fixed. But if we're not going to put parameters in and I put on my Tennessee cap, we're going to be a part of the haves and not the have-nots, which is to your point. Hey, we're not worried about everybody else. If the rules say we don't have to worry about budgets and we don't have guardrails and guidelines, okay.
Well, Danny answered a question like that for me, which I thought was pretty fantastic, which I asked him about the move to the one transfer portal window, and is that good for Tennessee? And his answer was really spot on, I thought, because he said, well, he goes, as a school that's working to not only try to compete but to graduate athletes, he said, I think it's a big deal because when kids move 1, 2, 3, 4 times, you lose credits every time you move. It's just like when you change majors. But when you change schools, it's even more pronounced. And he said, we'd like people to get degrees. That's part of what we're here to do. He said, if you're just talking about it being good for Tennessee as opposed to our competitor schools, not really. It's probably the same for all of us. Yeah. But I thought that's a good answer.
Yeah, and I think
that's an honest answer.
Yeah, I think coaches want it because it gets their roster settled
right
before they get into it. But yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of people saying it doesn't give anybody in the Power Four world, particularly SEC, and people that are spending money, it doesn't give anybody a leg up or an advantage because it's the level playing field. It's the one-time portal deal. I don't. He's right. Is it good for the student athlete? Better? Yes. Do the coaches want it? Yes. Does it give anybody an advantage or a disadvantage? No.
Probably not.
No, I don't think so.
It does take some of the crazy out.
Well, what it does is when you get everybody done in January, you don't have to. You have to worry about it. Someone in your department has to worry about it year round. But as a head coach, when you get to late January, 1st February, this is my football team until January.
Well, you don't have to re-recruit your own players.
Not through spring. You know, you don't have to deal with that part of it. And that's what coaches are looking for, and that's why they've been pushing for this.
All right, Roger in Lewisburg wants to know, do you have any info for when, if Jermod McCoy will be back?
He's got to go through team workouts. He's got to participate in team periods of practice. He's not done that to this point. That is the next hurdle. You've heard Josh Heupel talk about hurdles, steps, benchmarks, I think is the phrase that he used. The next benchmark is for Jermod McCoy to get into some team period stuff and start working towards some contact. And until he does that, I think it's kind of status quo in terms of a timeline. Because he really hasn't – he's continued to work out as he was doing in August, but he's kind of been on that regiment for a while now. So the next benchmark is to get into some team stuff. He just hasn't done that at this. So I don't have a great answer for that. Do they ramp him up over the course of the next couple of weeks for Arkansas? I mean, maybe. That's what you would like. It's hard for me to say he's going to go to the practice field Monday or Tuesday, go into team period, and then he's going to go play on a Saturday this week. But you start looking, to borrow your graph, 2 weeks out, then, okay, maybe they can start ramping him up and getting him to the point that he might be ready for Arkansas, if he's ready for that benchmark.
Big Orange Rewind presented by Calhoun's, a proud sponsor of the Vols. Your text questions for Brent Hubbs at 865-657-1278.
Big Orange Rewind on the Vol Network.
Sponsored by Food City, the official supermarket and tailgating headquarters of the Vols. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee. Complete coverage for every phase of life. Alumni Hall, the ultimate volunteer shopping experience. By Farm Bureau Insurance of Tennessee, the official insurance of the Vols. Tennessee Insurance for Tennessee Life. Co-op, proudly supplying your rural lifestyle in Big Orange Country. And by UT Medical Center, the official healthcare provider of the Vols and all of Vol Nation.
Tennessee pride runs deep from Neyland Stadium to the family farm. At Farm Credit Mid-America, we stand behind the Tennessee farmers who feed and fuel our nation, just like we cheer for the Vols on game day. Because we understand that whether you farm every day, only on the weekends, or simply enjoy time on property outside of town, we have loans to fit your needs. Because farming matters, and so does every play, every harvest, every heartbeat of Tennessee. Learn how Farm Credit Mid-America serves the great state of Tennessee at fcma.com. Loan subject to credit approval. Additional terms and conditions may apply. Farm Credit Mid-America is an equal opportunity lender.
You're shopping for hard-working apparel or searching for the right ration for your cattle. Co-op is here to supply your rural lifestyle. With just the right selection of products to help round out your chore list, our family of co-ops is driven to serve everyone living in Big Orange Country, supplying essential supplies for the farm and home. Find a location near you by visiting ourcoop.com and go Co-op.
In this town, we don't just root for the team. We are the team. We rise before the sun, stay long after the lights go out. We are Big Orange Country. And with this team stands another, UT Medical Center. We heal the hurt, fuel the comeback, keep Vol Nation stronger, tougher, together. With care that never lets up. UT Medical Center, official healthcare provider of the Vols, and all of Vol Nation.
Just like a crucial call in a big game, the choices we make today will impact tomorrow. Choosing natural gas is the responsible energy choice for your home, your family, for our environment. Natural gas is the cleaner energy choice for Tennesseans, for today and tomorrow. Comfort, dependability, responsibility. Natural gas.
A look back and what's next. Big Orange Rewind, presented by Calhoun's.
Need a haircut? With the Great Clips app, you can put your name on the list from anywhere and head to the salon when you're up next. Because getting a great haircut shouldn't mean putting your life on hold. Great Clips, it's gonna be great. Brent Hubbs is here. I'm Mike Keith. Big Orange Rewind, presented by Calhoun's. Trivia question. Not trivia question. That's from another era.
I'm not good at trivia.
That's from another era.
I know
How about a text question?
I know some useless information.
How about a text question?
All right, let's go.
Brent, there is an elite team in college football. Indiana, total D-line dominance against number 8 Illinois last year. Mendoza with video game stats. Best receiving core in the nation. This according to Lark from Knoxville.
Obviously, Lark is a Hoosier.
You would think.
But hey, I tell you what, they absolutely took Illinois to the woodshed. I mean, took them to the woodshed yesterday. I mean, Cignetti's done a great job up there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have a brand that they play with. That's a huge win for them. That is, I mean, because with their non-conference schedule, which they take a lot of criticism for, and I understand so. When they have moments like that and games like that, they've got to play well, and they were terrific yesterday. So I don't know that I would put them as the elite team in college football, but that was a heck of a win for them yesterday. No doubt about that. They played extremely well, and Illinois did not play well at all.
Ooh. All right. It seems that every coaching staff Tennessee has had, including Coach Hype, takes the foot off the gas when we get a lead against a good conference opponent, and playing conservative bites us. Do you think that will change in the future?
I'm sure he's drawing from the possession against Georgia after the
at 35-30.
Yeah, where they made the field goal. I'm sure it's what he's drawing from there. You know, there's been a lot of video breakdown of that stuff on social media. Tennessee missed a couple of key blocks or those running plays. I mean, when you see it, you understand what Josh Heupel was calling those plays because it was a light box there. On the flip side of that, you could certainly say, well, Chris Brazzell was turning his corner around. You could have got that on an out pattern, or maybe you could have got him there for a first down, not necessarily a home run, because Georgia was not going to let you throw it over your head there. You drove the ball down into field goal range, doing what you did. I'm trying to think of other games in the past where I felt like he's maybe gotten conservative. I mean, not one doesn't jump out to me.
I can't think of one that he's lost because
yeah, I mean
but that's not really the way they play. I mean, they ran on third down an important drive. I think on like 3rd and 5 against Syracuse. I mean, so here's the thing. Whatever you're calling, you're obviously calling because you think it's going to work. I get that. It's got to work.
Mm-hmm. You got to execute.
I mean, it's got to work. You're in a situation right there where if you go up 12, you're winning that football game.
Right.
Guess what? Got to go up 12.
Yeah. Now,
whatever it is, it's a pass, it's a halfback pass, it's the fullback trap. I don't know what it is, but it's just got to work in that situation. So I think to me, it's always more about the execution in those moments, just like it was the execution on the 2-point play that came right after the execution defending the 4th and 6th play. I mean, that's what you have to take care of.
Yeah, I think the question in some of those things when you're talking about execution is what is an easier thing to execute? All 11 guys have to execute. We know that. But at the same time, too, sometimes if you're playing pitch and catch one-on-one, it takes some people out of the equation. Not everybody has to be perfect. Is that a better play call versus, hey, we've got to block this up perfectly for the play to run? Well, okay, what if the running back, keeps his feet? Okay, maybe you didn't block it perfect, but he kept his feet, and all of a sudden it's a gain that you want. So I don't. To me, taking the foot off the gas is when you're up 2 scores and 17 points in the third quarter, and you run it 3 times and you punt. To me, that's taking the foot off the gas versus what happened in that particular moment. You're trying to score. Josh Heupel was trying to score a touchdown there. He was not like
for
hey, 3's good enough.
Well, I don't think they took their foot off the gas at 21-7 in that game.
No, I don't think they executed.
I don't think they executed very well, and they didn't run it.
They lost the rhythm.
They didn't run it, and they didn't throw it very well in that sequence. And again, in those kind of games, those are heavyweight fights. So guess what? You're going to take some punches, and you've got to be able to respond to them and execute. And, that's what I think what's interesting is when you look at college football, do you see a team out there that is just unbeatable from everybody right now?
Mm-mm.
I don't.
No, I don't
now,
think so.
We may see one in October and November because teams may continue to develop. By the time we got into December last year, after Ohio State had their meltdown, against Michigan.
Nobody thought they were unbeatable after that Saturday.
They lost to a 6-5 team, basically. That didn't make any sense to anybody. And then they were so clearly the best team in the tournament. Really didn't appear close because they sort of got it back together. And I think that's what the building towards that's going to be about.
Well, I think the other thing too, and I'm not picking on the text question at all. I think sometimes when it comes across and it's so easy or it looks so easy, then all of a sudden you don't score every time. Then you say, well, they changed the play call. They took the foot off the gas. Well, the reality is Georgia said after 21 points, we can't play this way.
Right.
We're going to play zone. We're going to try to do some things differently. Now it's they punch, you got to counter punch and everything. But when you come out in the first quarter and you're 14 for 14 and you throw for 200 yards and you put 21 points up on the board in 3 possessions, like, why didn't you score 80?
Right.
Why didn't you score 65?
Well,
you took your foot off the gas.
Because you're not going to go 45 of 45 against Georgia.
Right.
It's just not going to happen.
It's the same way I heard this argument from some people last week after that game about, well, they took their foot off the gas because they didn't go tempo. They slowed the game down. If you go back and look at that second quarter, the game slowed down because you threw incompletions.
Right.
Because Georgia called a timeout at one point. There were penalties at one point in there. You had a negative yardage play that set you back. All of those things slow tempo down. They did not stand on the sideline and go, hey, guys, we got 21 points. Let's slow and run the clock. We're going to try to get to the half. That's not what happened. The game slowed down because you didn't execute the way you were executing at the start of the game.
Well, and the other point, too, is you get to the end of the first half, and you're in a situation where Georgia has the chance to go on, 4th and goal at the 2?
And they kicked the field goal.
Turns out that was a brilliant move. Because you look at the way the rest of the game went, instead of trying to be a hero there, they took the points, and boy, those points mattered later. If they'd gotten stopped right there, that would have been 3 points that would have changed the entire, or potentially at least, changed the entire flow of the game. So sometimes, discretion is the better part of valor, and you've got to make those decisions thinking about the length of the game. You said something really interesting about incomplete passes. I think completion percentage is one of the most important statistics towards this offense going fast.
Towards any tempo offense.
But against this one, I think it stacks up. And we talked about the 57% completion percentage in the opener against Syracuse is problematic because obviously that's only completing 4 out of 7 passes. You want to be towards completing 5 out of 7 passes. Realistically, when Hendon Hooker had this thing humming, he's completing right at 70% of his passes. Is that too high to expect? Maybe. but you'd certainly like to be at 2/3 around where he is right now. Speaking of Aguilar, it's a big deal to keep that clock moving, because not only are you able to line up and things don't stop, you're able to just run up there and go, but because you're keeping that pace and that rhythm and you're running that clock, you're helping your defense.
Well, and it's why you have to complete, though, and that was my criticism of Joey after the Syracuse game. His incompletions were on easy throws.
Right.
It was the wide receiver stuff out there in the RPO game that was too high. Those have to be automatics. Okay, because that's just an extension of your run game. That's got to be an automatic completion, because you're using that play to get tempo going. When you don't complete those easy ones, man, it really knocks you off kilter. And to your point, there's enough of those throws to jumpstart your offense from a tempo standpoint that you have to hit. And, hey, guess what? Georgia used them for some tempo against Tennessee.
They sure did.
You're going to see it this week for both teams trying to use that to get tempo going in this game, because State wants to play fast too. They want to play up-tempo. So completion percentage for both of these guys, and I think both of them are right at about 67% right now. That's going to be a key factor in this game. Can you get them out of rhythm and get them out of tempo because you're forcing incompletes, or they're not as accurate as they need to be?
Absolutely. 865-657-1278, 865-657-1278. That's the number you can use to text us a question. We would love for you to do so. This is Big Orange Rewind, presented by Calhoun's, a taste of Tennessee.
UT fans know it takes teamwork to win. And when you choose Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee, you get a team who served Tennesseans for 80 years. From babies to seniors, big needs to small, we offer health coverage that fits your life and your budget. All from a company right here in your community. Now that's what we call a big win. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee.
Tennessee fans, your game day isn't complete without Calhoun's. Whether you're inside Neyland Stadium for the game or tailgating on campus or at home, Calhoun's has you covered with shareable small bites, family feed packs, and party platters. Imagine your tailgate piled high with hickory smoked ribs, tender pulled pork, and that famous barbecue chicken. The best of Tennessee on one plate. Call ahead or order online and make your game day legendary. Calhoun's, a taste of Tennessee.
Hey fans, it's Coach Heupel. In football and in life, some folks just show up. That's Tennessee. They don't call us volunteers for nothing. We're about standing together and doing the right thing on and off the field. That's exactly how Farm Bureau Insurance of Tennessee shows up. They're not just from here, they're for here. Built for Tennessee life. Get a free quote at FBITN.com. At the University of Tennessee, the Vols are known for competing at the highest level on the field, the court, and the diamond. And just like the Vols, Food City excels at everything too. They've got in-store butchers carving up certified Angus beef, fresh local produce, a full-service bakery, Fuel Bucks rewards, and one of the best beer and wine selections in town. Food City, the official supermarket of the Vols, and your home for everything Tennessee.
The Big Orange Rewind continues, presented by Calhoun's.
Bill Martin is the Associate Athletics Director of Strategic Communications for football. He has just tweeted out something interesting. We like Bill Martin.
We love Bill Martin. Big fan.
Love is relative. Okay. Most receiving TDs through 4 games in Vol football history, through the first 4 games. Chris Brazzell, 2025, 6. That tops the list, tied with another Vol. Derrick Rogers.
Derrick Rogers from Calhoun, Georgia.
2011, 6. Josh Malone, 2016, 5. Corey Fleming, 1993, 5. Brazel leads the nation with 6 touchdown catches.
By the way, speaking of 1993, I'm on the sideline yesterday.
Wow.
Okay. I'm there. I'm on the sidelines yesterday, and I'm walking by, and I look up, and there stands Heath Shuler and Jerry Colquitt.
Yes.
And I am really embarrassed by the fact that I am completely white-headed, and both of them look like they could have gone into the locker room and put on a uniform yesterday. Neither one of them have changed. Like, Jerry does. He looks exactly like he did. And there's no aging process there. And Heath's hair is still Heath's hair. Like, they look. They're both built. They look like they could go play, and here I am completely white-headed.
That relationship is really interesting, and it shows something about kind of how life sort of winds around. They were friends when they were competitors, but he talked to me about how he's realized through going through life, being in Congress, being in business, doing all the professional football, good times, bad times, whatever, that he really realized how Jerry's unselfishness in helping him was so key to his success, and how big that was for Jerry to be willing to do that at that age.
Heath told me back in the summer, Jerry Colquitt is the best teammate he's ever had at any level.
Yes.
The best teammate he's ever had. He said, what he did for me as a roommate in town and then in road games to help me get ready to play when I had beaten him out for the job is just something you don't see in sport. And he will continue to tell you that he is the best teammate he's ever had and a better friend than he deserves.
Ken wants to know via the text line at 865-657-1278, what would your running back rotation be?
I tell you what I'm seeing out of Star Thomas. Star Thomas is getting the most carries of my running back. And that's not a knock on Deshaun Bishop. That's not a knock on Peyton Lewis. That is a credit to what I see out of Star Thomas. I think Star Thomas' ability to make people miss. I think his balance. I think his understanding of what's needed when has been really, really good. So,
but can he carry 20 times?
No, I don't know. But I don't know that anybody's going to carry 20 on this roster.
I mean, I think that's where you start, is asking the question, can he?
Maybe. I don't know that. I mean,
can he be as effective with carry 20?
I don't know that I don't know that. Is he a guy that gets better as the game goes on? We haven't seen that because of the rotation. I think the question as you move back into conference play is, what does that rotation look like? They were clearly trying to get Peyton Lewis going yesterday and get him on track.
It worked.
And it worked. Peyton Lewis led the team in rushing, and he had the option play, green grass, and he played well. And it should have, and it did, I think, and it does give Peyton Lewis more confidence where he's at. But as you move into a game Saturday night in Starkville, are you going to make a quicker decision on who has the hot hand? Are you going to go, hey, we're going to go 2-2-2, we're going to go 2-1-1, we're going to go 1-1-1? How does Darrell Sims manage that room on the road in conference play as you're now 4 games into the season, a quarter of the way?
Tennessee's defense delivered 3 sacks against UAB, which means Vol fans can enjoy a free Vols BLT Frisco Angus Burger from Hardee's this week with a $1 purchase. Download the Hardee's app and join My Rewards. Now, you'll want to put in promo code UT347. That's promo code UT347 to redeem your free Vols BLT Frisco Angus Burger from Hardee's. Terms apply. Available at participating locations. Hardee's, goodness in the making and proud sponsor of the Vols. I've, being important to our advertisers, I did happen to go by and get a BLT Frisco Angus Burger, just because I felt like I should know.
I'm a staple at the Hardee's.
Yes, I know you are.
every Saturday
I
morning.
recommend the the BLT Frisco Angus Burger.
Outstanding. Speaking of sacks, Tennessee has 15 on the year. They had 29 all of last season. So they're over halfway to what their total was a year ago.
Was UAB credited with 2, and both of them were on Merklinger, I believe?
I think that's right. I'm going to double-check that quickly. No, just 1. They were credited with just 1.
Tennessee's overall sack ratio, their turnover ratio is not fabulous. It's 0.
Mm-hmm.
but their sack ratio is outstanding. It's plus double digits. I think right now it's plus 13, and that's an important stat. It's not as important as turnover ratio, but it's an important stat, especially considering last year where they gave up as many, if not more, sacks than they were able to rack up. Those are big plays. Yeah. And so you certainly like to be on the positive side of the sack ratio as well.
Yeah, and I mean, Tennessee's defense, I think they've been aggressive. Some of those are linebacker sacks. Some of those are off of, Boo Carter's got a sack. McMurray's got a sack. So you're bringing some pressure from different places. You're being a little bit more aggressive because of where you are personnel-wise in the secondary at this point in time. But you've gotten some work done up front with your defensive line as well. And on the flip side of it, we haven't called Lance Hurd's name all season long. And we haven't called Jesse Perry's name all season long. And for an offensive lineman, I know they like publicity, but they really don't like publicity. No. And the fact you're not talking about those guys is enough publicity because it tells you how well they're playing.
Big Orange Rewind presented by Calhoun's, a taste of Tennessee. 9 convenient locations in Knoxville and surrounding areas. Look for Calhoun's inside Neyland Stadium. We're back with more, a Big Orange Rewind with your text questions at 865-657-1278 on the Vol Network.
Today's Big Orange Rewind, sponsored by
First Horizon Bank, big bank solutions, small bank spirit, the official bank of the Vols. Swaggerty's Farm Sausage, quite possibly the best tasting sausage in America. By the Tennessee Fund. Join the My All campaign today at IWillGiveMyAll.com. Rackley Roofing, the official roofer of the Vols. And by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer. Proud sponsor of the Tennessee Volunteers.
Tennessee fans, the Vol Shop has everything you need to support the Big Orange with a 15,000 square foot store in the Student Union and other locations on Cumberland Avenue, in the University Commons, and inside Neyland Stadium. The Vol Shop is stocked full of official gear and exclusive apparel. The Vol Shop is your go-to retailer for Tennessee merchandise. If you can't make it to campus, shop online at utvolshop.com and be sure to follow them on social media. The Vol Shop, the official campus store of the University of Tennessee.
It's football time in Tennessee, and that means it's time for Calhoun's. Whether you're headed to the game or watching from home, make Calhoun's your pregame, postgame, and every game headquarters. From hickory smoked pulled pork to the legendary ribs, juicy burgers, and mouth-watering brisket, Calhoun's delivers the flavor that fuels Big Orange fans. With 9 convenient East Tennessee locations, there's a Calhoun's near you. So gather your friends, wear your orange, and experience why they're the taste of Tennessee. Calhoun's, proud to serve Vol fans since 1983.
Vol fans, ready to score big on your next home? Clayton Homes, Oakwood Homes, and Love Homes are proud sponsors of Tennessee Athletics and proud to help you find your dream home. Whether you're a first-time buyer or looking for your forever home, their teams across Tennessee have your back. With 29 locations statewide and Energy Smart Homes designed for year-round savings and a lifetime of comfort, it's never been easier to make the move. Stop by today and see why so many families and Vol fans trust Clayton, Oakwood, and Love Homes to turn home ownership into a win.
There are big banks with large capital resources, and there are small banks that go above and beyond so you have everything you need. At First Horizon, we provide the best of both banks, the ability to financially back your every dream, and a commitment to make sure you feel heard and understood. Both so we can get you where you want to be.
For every play in life, there's a bank that has your back. That's First Horizon. Let's find a way.
The Vol Network's Big Orange Rewind continues. Presented by Calhoun's.
Tuesday night on the SEC Network, they will announce the 9 football opponents for each team in the SEC for 2026 and 2027. That would include the 3 annual opponents. That's what they're calling them. And they will review the annual opponents every 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Are you still sticking with the fact that you're not convinced Kentucky is the third joining Alabama and Vanderbilt?
No, I'm hedging my bets towards the Wildcats.
Whoa.
I have made a shift in my opinion.
You have done what?
I have shifted my opinion. I'm allowed to change and have a different opinion. I never said it was fact weeks ago. I said it was my opinion. I didn't think, but now I've thought. And I think it's going to be Kentucky.
The reason I think it has to be Kentucky is because I don't know who number one would be for Kentucky.
Exactly. That's my rationale, too. That's my rationale.
I mean, they have other opponents, but I'm just thinking if you're thinking about their tradition, I mean, Tennessee is always their big game. For years, they ended their season like Vanderbilt and Tennessee do. They ended against Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think when you look at competitive balance, and if you do a 7-year study or 10-year study, whatever you're going to do to try to get competitive balance, Kentucky's been a good team. I mean they've been to bowl games, they've won 7-8 ball games, and you can say
they 10-win season.
You can say they scheduled it that way, whatever. It doesn't matter. The record's the record, and I
Sure.
think that's what their record is. So I think it's going to be Kentucky, Alabama, Vanderbilt as the three for the next 4 years. And then Danny White said...
Now, tell me about this, because he said this on...
Big Orange Countdown.
Big Orange Countdown on Saturday before the UAB game. What exactly did he say on your show?
Quote, next year we'll have 5 SEC home games, and we'll be at Georgia Tech. Then it flip-flops, meaning we'll have 4 SEC home games and host Georgia Tech.
So what we discussed a few weeks ago here on Big Orange Rewind was that Tennessee was in line to have the 5 home SEC games because they do have the series set with Georgia Tech, and they would be one of the teams that would make sense to go 5 SEC home games in 26 because Georgia Tech's on the road. But then when Georgia Tech comes here on September the 11th, 2027, that would mean it would make sense to have the 4 SEC home games in that year. So that would make Tennessee a natural for that rotation, and 8 teams are going to have to do 5 and then 4. 8 teams are going to have to do 4 and then 5.
Yeah, and I think Tennessee, when you look at it, you're a neutral site game with West Virginia in a year that you would have 5 SEC home games, and then you would have 4 when you host Washington, and then you would have 5 when you go to Washington. So it really sets out for Tennessee all the way to 2030 that way. Remember this about Tennessee too. They took a couple body blows in scheduling when the league said, "Hey, Oklahoma's coming in. You got to cancel that game." They lost a home game to Oklahoma. They ended up having to find a neutral site game. That's NC State. Then you've got your home and home with Nebraska. Nebraska pulls out of that. You had to scramble to find that. So you find a home and home with Georgia Tech.
Oh, and by the way, Georgia Tech's just gotten good.
Yeah, they're good. So I think
super.
But I think when you look at what Tennessee's had to do from a scheduling standpoint,
right.
I think the conference has to take that into account when they look at this. Now, I still think there's going to be some teams unhappy based on what you were saying.
Yeah,
3 or 4 weeks ago here, where there's 10 teams that are all.
Well, there were 10.
Yes,
Alabama's now out of
play there.
They're out of play there, yes. So,
yeah. And I think Florida's moving out of play.
But Ole Miss too, potentially. Do they get out of a Charlotte trip?
Right. Some of those things there. But I based on, Danny White was very emphatic on the Big Orange Countdown. This is what's happening next year. We'll have 5 SEC home games at Neyland Stadium.
Well, that's good.
Absolutely. That's you don't want to be on the wrong side of that. And again, it lays out for Tennessee the right way, so it makes sense.
Of course, by the time we're at 2030, we may be at 10 SEC games.
And then you may have 24 teams in the conference, or you may have 1 super conference or 2 super conferences. Who knows what this thing is going to look like. But because you feel like that's the path you're going,
right.
And Danny White said, look, they're not going to flip-flop on you. Now you can go schedule. So he can go look for a home and home in 31-32, and he knows which game has to be the home game and which has to be the road game against his Power 4 opponent. It allows you to schedule out.
But if you're Tennessee, if you're going to play a neutral site, wouldn't you play at New Nissan Stadium in Nashville? Wouldn't that make the most sense?
I think you would, but I think you're going to avoid neutral site games. I think that and we're running out of time here. I'm not going to give the whole quote, but Danny White basically said, for us, I want to maximize games in Neyland Stadium. We got a sold-out stadium. We got the best fan base in all of sport. That's what we focus on as we look at our future non-conference schedule. We will be looking, and we are looking for home and homes in that Power 4 series, making sure we have one here every other year. He's not a big neutral site guy. He didn't schedule a bunch of these.
But you can't – I know Fulmer did and Dave Hart did and so on and so forth. But, I mean, you can make pretty good money playing – someplace.
You can, but I think you want to be careful not to make it hard on your fan base. Nashville makes sense if the right game fell your way that way, but I think you're going to do these in pairs with home and homes and not the one-offs. I think one-offs are going to be the exception in college football in general.
The Vol Network General Manager is Brandon Parks, Executive Director Glenn Thaxton, Director of Business Development Josh Payrow, Special Advisor Steve Early, Account Executives Chuck Arnold, Kevin Ashmos, Ben Bates, Nick Bell, Savannah Chalfont, Brandon Lane, Jessica Leifheit, Spencer Rudder, Chris Wagner. Technical Director Tim Barry, Network Engineer Jay Leifert, Network Producer Eli Davis, Associate Director of VFL Films Ashley Farrell and Travis Dean, and Director of Radio Projects Larry Stone. For Brent Hubbs, I'm Mike.
Rewind.
Presented by Calhoun's, a taste of Tennessee. Calhoun's is the perfect place to rewind after every Tennessee game.
Rewind one more time to this weekend's action. Catch the podcast at utsports.com. Big Orange, Rewind. We are the Vol Network.